Well, let's calm me down a bit. I hope it's calmed you down. Sorry to get you so worked up so early in the morning. But it's just incredible that we can find things like this going on. And, you know, as I understand it, and once again, thanks to those people at Lewis Eye, who do this wonderful investigative journalism, is that the reason that East Sussex County Council is next to bankrupt, as it says, that it's got to cut back, that it's asked for special funding, it's asked for a special status so that it can meet its so-called social obligations. It got into trouble in the first place because they spent so much money on roads. What are they doing again? They're going to spend a lot more money on roads, right? Much of it is coming from outside sources. But you know, that's all well and good to say. But ultimately, whatever you do, if you have a giant project like a $500 million road, I'm sorry, it impacts upon your own budget. Well, if you've got that sort of trouble with the budget, ladies and gentlemen of East Sussex County Council, and I'm talking to the executive as well as the politicians, if you've got that much trouble, let's focus on looking after the lame, the sick, the elderly. Let's get our priorities right before we start building roads that go from nowhere to nowhere and cost a fortune and destroy the environment. You know, what I don't understand, well, is do as I say, not as I do. The criticism, including that from people who would be involved in local politics or national politics for that matter, expresses frustration and anger at the way rainforests are being destroyed in South America particularly, but in other parts of the world. That's awful, they say, that's awful. And then they turn around and are quite happy to destroy stuff here. And they don't think that is an anomaly. They don't see anything peculiar in that sort of thinking. And that's the trouble. The political class has really become a sector, and they think like a sector. And it's all very well to say, well, you know, top businessmen only think like top businessmen. Yes, they do. But politicians now are only thinking like politicians. And that is not why they're there. They're there to reflect what the community wants. And they are not there, you know, the word servant, public servant is used. Anybody to do with any public activity is a public servant. Well, we don't want you to doff your cap to us as we are the masters. What we do expect is that you would reflect what the master wants. And the master is very concerned about the environment. It's very concerned about what's going on in terms of road building, building, housing building, if you like, immigration, in the sense of it coming into our towns. We are concerned. We want to know what it is that you're doing. And instead, what you offer is secret meetings, secret plans, because you're afraid that we might rise up and say enough is enough and get them stopped. Well, if they're going to be stopped, let's put them out in the open first. If you're so convinced that this is right, put the case. Don't try it at the last minute. But that, you know, strangely enough, that is exactly what the Lewis District Council do. You know, 4 or 5 months ago, I had a row with them, and they threatened to take me to court. So I said, okay, do it. Do you know, they let me know about 4 days before. They were hoping that, as usual, they would just get the nod through. They'll get the court to give them a piece of paper which says, we can come and we can grab this from you and we can grab that from you. That's what they thought was going to happen. But I challenged them. And I said, let's go to court. because I think there are some circumstances here which it would be good for the court to know and let them make a decision. And then I asked the court if we could have a television camera in there, only a small one, only one on the phone, but of course we can broadcast on that phone to the world. And the court, because of the short period of time, didn't come back and say yay or nay. But if it happens again, I shall make the same request. And they don't like that one little bit. And they actually intercepted me before going into court. And we came to a deal which I followed and they didn't. And now we're back yelling and screaming at one another. Well, we don't yell and scream, mainly because I've asked for a meeting. I've asked for 100 meetings and I never get any reply. They don't want to go face to face with anybody, particularly a journalist who might ask some very awkward questions. Now, all that has got to go. And if it goes the way that it's gone in the United States and in Canada and in some of the European countries, then so be it. Let it go that way. In other words, perhaps what we can do is we can replace the dickheads we've got at the moment with a bunch of independent dickheads who probably screw it up just as badly, but at least we'll do it in the name of the people. And then perhaps in 5 to 10 years' time, we'll have a system that sorts out and governs us properly, because we are not being governed properly at the moment. I tell you that, my little friends. Oh, do you know something? I was looking through the music this morning, deciding what I should pull down onto the programme, and I came up with something that I think should remind us that it was only 7 weeks away that we were doing this. Do you remember that? Oh, weren't we all having a jolly good time? And then suddenly January rolls around and the stark realities of life kick in. And stark they have been for the beginning of the year in many ways. It's been very, very cold. It's been uncertain because of Brexit. It's become uncertain for a whole host of political reasons. So what we say to the politician is get your act together. Your performance at the moment is unsatisfactory at every level. Dear old Boris Johnson, one of the Marmite kids, you either love him, hate him, but you never forget him, made a speech 3 or 4 weeks ago suggesting that we needed a root and branch change in the way that we're governed. That is from Westminster down to the parish council. And I couldn't agree more with him on this occasion. We do need a root and branch investigation, consultation, and a strategy to take us on into the future. Because the present system just ain't working, chaps. It isn't working. We've got councils where nobody is controlling them. They are just running wild, doing their own thing, doing it secretly, and then either cutting services that are in great need, such as bus passes for the elderly. free libraries for those who wish to expand their education, and help to get to school for those who do find it difficult and part of their income taken to try and get what the rest of us take for granted. Those are the sort of things that are under threat if, in fact, we permit this council to build a £500 million road. Oh, they'll say, no, you misunderstand. We can actually build this road with money that's coming in from central government and so on and so forth. Don't kid yourself. When you get involved in that sort of big project, and they've already got their fingers burned, the county council, they've already got their fingers burned on other projects, on other road projects, is that when we hear that sort of thing, we know that it's going to cost locally. There is no way that it can't. It always does. It impacts on the local community. And I'm terribly sorry to say that I am not, and I'm not a great social reactionary. But I do want to see some civility demonstrated by our present governors towards the old, who have given so much to develop this country to the state that it is at the moment, bearing in mind many people will remember the 60s, the 70s particularly, the 1970s when the country was bankrupt, to the sick who really need our compassion, and to the lame who struggle through adversity to get to their workplace, to get to a position where they can help their community despite their ailment. Believe me, I'm not asking for any sainthood. On the contrary, people think that I'm a prat, and by all means think that. What I want to do is to stir debate. But I am very active in the media world, in Lewes and in London, and I've got Parkinson's. I expect the local councils to come and say, Keith, well done, how can we support you? How can we keep you going? On the contrary, they do exactly the opposite. They look around and try to penalise you. They try to put every obstacle in your way. I'll tell you, until they actually get their act together, I defy official policy, which is, let's get young people becoming entrepreneurs. Don't do it, kids. Some of you will succeed. A lot of you will find that the frustrations of trying to do things on your own, and yet being challenged by councils and governments to do so many different things that you never have time to actually do what it is that you want to do, it is not attractive. I love to think of people becoming entrepreneurs. I've been one all my life. Sometimes I make it and sometimes I don't. There are those in our community that need to take chances. Nothing would move forward if we didn't have the visionaries. But by the same token, society should be prepared to try and help those people and not penalise them, which at the moment our system does. 29:10. Time to say goodbye. Let's go down to our good friends at Bensound and find Endless Motion. There we are, Endless Motion. Here it comes. Thanks for being with me. I'm going to do other things later today, and through Facebook and through social media, I try hard to keep you up to date with what we're doing. But we really like you to join us wherever. Tomorrow morning we can do it all again. Until then, toodle pip.